Hello, I wanted to talk about my deep dive and some of the interesting things that I learned from it. I chose film and game soundtracks because it sounded fun. And so I wanted to talk about one of the things I learned was I learned a lot about like screen size and width and how that affected things and how the history behind that. You know, I remember growing up with VHS tapes and it was like widescreen or full screen. I never fully understood the difference. And then I also learned about old color and how color worked, which was kind of interesting in films. And then we get back into sound because that's the point of this, right? We talk about the first musical in Hollywood. One thing that I found interesting about that film was it was kind of meta. Like they stopped it like partway through, so the actors could talk about, oh, I want that part, oh, I want that part. And you think about why it was meta. It was probably because most of the people who were writing it worked in Hollywood at the time. So, yeah, you know, that's kind of interesting because back then Hollywood actually meant Hollywood. It's not like today where Hollywood just means the film industry. Kind of interesting. And also, I looked at the dates and I thought, film is a lot older than game sound, right? Game sound has only been around for at most 30 years-ish. Really, 30, I don't know, much longer than that, closer to 40 now. But the point is that film's been around for like 80 years, so they've got a lot more time and experience to work with sound, figure out how to implement sound into films and everything. You can see them first beginning to figure out the tricks of today back then, which is interesting. Same deal with games. And you know, when it came to game sound, one thing that I found interesting was it was almost always about processing power, right? And in films it was more of like, hey, let's just pre-record and try and make things work. That's not how games work because they're interactive. You have to really worry about the processing power and how that's why we ended up with the like classic chiptune style that would not have existed otherwise, which is kind of interesting because I like that style personally.
Alright, hi, I'm Rachel, and don't mind the background or me. So one of the techniques that I learned really, and I've been playing cello for a long time, and something I didn't know was the technique of moving your arm in and then out and then just your elbow. So elbow, everything, elbow, and then just doing that. So I have my bow. And another thing I learned is the dead hand trick. So dead hand and then in between, boom, 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 boom. And like obviously not locked up or anything. So then from here it's in, out. Okay, that was really bad, but you get the point. Yeah. So from your knee in, out, there. And I thought that was really cool because I've never learned to do it like that. So, thanks for watching.
Okay, so when I did the deep dive for Hamilton this week, I was absolutely in awe of how Lin-Manuel Miranda was able to insert chord progressions and symbolize them throughout all of the different songs, but in different ways. For example, like when Eliza and Philip were working on the piano together and they start singing in French all the way to 10, that's the same chord progression as in the 10 Dual Commandments, and Philip stops at 7, which is the same spot where the person fires on Philip and kills him when they're dueling. I thought it was absolutely incredible just watching how brilliant his ability to form music and his writing process, like just forming loops of the music and then sitting there and figuring out like what words go together. And it wasn't a it wasn't a fast process. It was super slow, but he wanted to be able to get how brilliant Hamilton's mind was, and I just thought it was amazing. And getting to watch Hamilton this summer a lot was one of the coolest experiences ever. So yeah.
So this is the improving intonation tutorial, and the video I saw showed me how to move your fingers at semitone, so then the note will stay the same, but you're just switching fingers. So like here, you would go from your first finger to second to your fourth, and this tone should stay the same, so it'll be like that. So what I did was it's called the gliding technique. So it's simple as that. All you do is just you glide your hand with your fingers to the same note, so where it will sound the same, but you're switching fingers, and then you can just go down the board. So it'd be like that. Yeah, I know that was a flat. I don't care. So that's basically all it is. It's just you're just making sure you switch fingers, but the note stays the same. So it's like that. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
I didn't know that there were so many bowing variants, like Colego, which I found interesting because I had no clue what hitting your bow, like the stick part on it, was even called, but apparently it's called Colego. Also, why are there so many versions of like staccato? Like there's flying staccato, standing staccato. How many are we having here? But there's a bunch. I didn't know there were that many. I just thought, I don't know. I thought it was like one staccato, but apparently it's many. Like the flying one where I think it's like bumping along. How do you even do that? You just do. And this guy in the video was like doing it so easy. He acted like, oh, it's so simple. But then when I tried it, I sound like a dying cow. I don't know how he does it, but yeah.
Here I'm going to be teaching two little things. First is tremolo. So I'm not the expert, but what you're going to do is place your bow very near the tip and make short, small movements. Except you're going to be going a lot faster than that. Except the professionals are much better than me, but that is tremolo. Now I'm going to show how to do a hooked bow, which is kind of like a slur, except it's going to sound like two separate notes as if you moved the bow back and forth, but it just looks fancier. So I'll show you a regular slur. That was bad. Redo that. There's a slur, and now here's a hooked bow. Hear the difference? It sounded like I went. So yeah, that's how you do that, because I'm a cool kid.